is Kim Speedy from 10 Sigma. Welcome to episode 55 of Transition Tuesday. Today I'm going to talk about transition services. This topic was suggested by many educators. Karen from Rhode Island, Diane from Maryland, and Yvette. Right now I'm going to switch over to a short slide presentation to share this information.
Transition services. So let's talk about what this section in the IEP is all about. First, let's start with IDEA 2004's definition of transition services. Transition services are a coordinated set of activities for a child with a disability. These activities are designed within a results-oriented process that focuses on improving the child's achievement and preparing them to move from school to post-school life. These activities must be based on the child's needs, preferences, and interests, and shall include needed activities in the following areas: instruction, related services, community experiences, development of employment and other post-school adult living objectives, and when appropriate, acquisition of daily living skills and a functional vocational evaluation. So let's break down this definition a little bit. Transition services activities are a coordinated set of activities. Coordination implies that there is active involvement in planning and implementing activities that include the school, student, family, and outside agencies. What this really means is that prior to the student turning transition age, the student's needs were met mainly through annual goals in the IEP. Now that the student is transition age, needs are not only met through annual goals, but they're also met through transition services, which involves the family taking some responsibility, the student taking ownership, as well as outside agencies, which the school has facilitated the linkage and the referrals, but not has committed that the other agency will provide the services without the involvement and approval of that agency. The next piece is that transition services are designed within a results-oriented process. The results mean that the student will attain their measurable post-secondary goals. So in determining the transition services or coordinated activities and courses of study, the IEP team must start with the big picture, which is the student's measurable post-secondary goals, and then determine the needs the student has in order to reach those measurable post-secondary goals, and break them down into a timeline or years that they have to complete the certain tasks or activities. Think of activities as the step the student needs to take to reach their post-secondary goals: first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Now that there are a set of coordinated activities that the student will need to reach their post-secondary goals, these activities need to be put into areas. The first area is instruction, which is formal or informal learning, anything that has to do with training and education, or self-advocacy. Related services has to do with determining if services such as speech and language, psychological, or transportation will be needed beyond school. So it's helping to identify who or what agency might provide those services, and helping to identify how the student and family connect with those services before they leave the school system. Community experiences are activities that are generally provided outside of school and help prepare the student in community life, such things as joining a club, public transportation, volunteering. Development of employment focuses on looking at work-related behaviors, such as vocational rehabilitation, filling out job applications, and learning to work with coworkers. Other post-school adult living objectives have to do with adult living skills, such as learning social media etiquette, learning about renting and leasing, and loans. Acquisition of daily living skills has to do with things such as housekeeping, learning to do laundry, food shopping and preparation. And functional vocational evaluation is an assessment process that provides information for such things as the student's general work behaviors, attention to task and ability level, and attendance. To recap the flow of determining the student's transition services, first the IEP team must start with the student's measurable postsecondary goals and then determine the student's needs in order to reach those goals. The needs are the activities and the courses of study that the student must take to reach those goals. Then a timeline, which is the process of the student reaching those goals, and who is responsible and will pay for the services if there is a cost involved. This is the coordination of the activities and all of the transition services that the student will need. This is a typical form for a coordinated set of activities that is in the IEP. There are the transition services listed, what needs and activity the student has, the timelines to complete those activities, and again, who is responsible, and if there is a cost, who will be paying for the service. The one thing I want to hit on briefly are the assessments or measures used to determine the student's transition services. These can be formal assessments. Formal assessments generally are to measure overall achievement as a comparison for the student's performance with others at their age or grade level, or to identify comparable strengths and weaknesses with peers. Informal assessments are mastery level of either content and or performance, or they can measure such things as individual strengths, needs, interests, and preferences. Both formal and informal assessments are considered age-appropriate assessments for transition. However, informal assessments will give you more information on whether or not the student has a transition service need. It depends on your school district and state if you need to include a formal assessment in your transition IEPs. I also wanted to mention some age-appropriate assessments or measures that can be used as transition services. For example, interest inventory, a student post-school interview, the ASVAB military, SAT or ACT, personality measures, working style inventories, self-determination checklist, learning styles inventory, or preference rating scale. Again, these are just a few examples of some assessments that could also be transition services. What are some transition services that are appropriate for younger versus older students? For younger students, their transition services should include transition vocabulary and many opportunities to explore strengths, preferences, interests, working styles, and options for employment, education and training, and independent living. For older students, since they have done some exploring and refining of their post-secondary goals, their transition services or activities should include many tasks and a very specific timeline for them to complete each task, even down to the month or day the task will be completed. For today's bonus, I'll be sending you links to explaining more about transition services and some examples of coordinated sets of activities.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you use this information to help plan appropriate transition services for your students. Be sure to check your email for the bonus we just sent over. If this is the first time you've ever seen an episode of Transition Tuesday, click the link below to receive the bonus. Be sure to like and share the video and leave a comment or suggestion for a future episode of Transition Tuesday. This will be our last episode for 2016, so have a great holiday season and see you in 2017. Happy holidays!